Virgo.
Hello Virgo, happy birthday. It is your birthday month, and what a beautiful, glorious, not just birthday, but it is the year of the year, the best of all 12 next years to come. And that is because we now have Jupiter in your first house. Now the first house is all about you submitting your energy out towards the world. It is the public and how they receive your energies, and you're going to have this with you that's going to be that much more optimistic, enthusiastic. You're going to be very supportive of other people, which you always are. You always consider other people very closely to heart. But having Jupiter here, it is like having a whole, what should I say, supporter group coming in. And your eyes will be pretty much on the horizon as far as wanting to reach further in your life. And having it in Virgo, you know better than anybody how it is to think and organize and strategize and getting all your ducks in a row. So Jupiter is all about wanting to improve your life to the best possible max. Now I'm sorry about the little flap we had there last month where the sound disappeared after 3 minutes. Don't know what happened as far as that was concerned, but I did try to fix it, putting up a corrected version. But back to you here now, the first house. Now, Jupiter will expand. First house is personality, so that is going to be a feel for you that you're going to be expanding who you are and showcasing this to the world. Now, this whole last year for you, Virgo, having Jupiter in the 12th house was more like you were taking, should I say, a look over the last 12-year cycle. Where had you been? What had you achieved? What was good and what was great? That you will bring with you onwards. What was it you now feel has been like completed lessons? Well, you've been kind of mulling over this and what you no longer need as life lessons. So you've been shedding, so to speak. And so now it's more like coming back out to the world, showing where you're at and where you're heading, making your goals known. What really is going to enhance this month of September, not only is the sun there, you radiating that beauty of yours, but the new moon will also indicate a new fresh start here in this area. And we get the new moon here in the first house once a year. So this is the time we want to put down our intentions. The date for that will be August 13th. So mark that on your calendar. And what is it? What intentions would you like to put down? Well, get a good feel of just where you're at right now, this great feeling of expansion. Tell yourself, this is how I want the rest of the year to be, all until next year when the new moon comes back, because that will send you off on a blessed journey. We also do have Mars and Venus. They are conjunct this month and in the sign of Leo, and that is always a very heartfelt place to have this conjunction. They meet up once a year. Venus takes a year to circle your chart once, so it will always meet up with Mars, but not necessarily in the sign of Leo. So this year it's special. It's asking you romantically to listen to your heart, not your mind. And we know that Virgos intellectualize, or they think a lot, very logically trying to dissect, one's feelings. This is just to be spontaneous from the heart, and maybe also karmically so. Why? Because it's showing up in your 12th house, which is the karmic house. So you might feel that you will be perhaps encountering some karmic situation. For those of you who are attached, it will be a very romantic day. This is on September 1st. For those of you who are single out there, Virgo, this could be the time for you not just to meet a new person in your life, but that this person could hold a specific key to karmic past lives, all right? A past life love might just pop up for you. Others might just feel that you could come across somebody here, maybe in a type of a hidden aspect, because that's what the 12th house is. But what it basically is all about is to feel the genuine energy exchange here on this date. The whole effect will be a couple of days. You can put a couple of days prior, a couple of days later. Venus moves quickly, but not that quickly. So the aspect will be in effect 14 degrees in Leo. Then we also have Saturn. This is another big news for you. It has been operating in the third house for communication and how you interact with people here verbally. It's also you having mastered this area of busyness. When I say busyness, it's more the to and fro. Might have been a lot back and forth, maybe helping or servicing somebody and looking into taking responsibility for, well, that's going to let up here somewhat. But Saturn now for the next 2.5 to 3 years, moving into the fourth house of home, family, parents, the past, and who you are on the inside. It's the foundation of your life, meaning also where you live, your home, your property, real estate. Saturn here is now for the time being here, the 17th, it will be shifting into this area and starting that 3-year period. And you will come to see that you're going to grow, you're going to expand in this area. Think about Sagittarius, which is Jupiter rule, right? Some of you might feel the need to move over the next 3 years. Some of you might just feel the need to secure your roots, your foundation. If you've been renting, maybe suddenly now the need will come to the surface that you would like to purchase a home, to put down roots. Some of you might even see that you might come to move. And if so, we're not talking just to the other side of town. Since it's in the sign of Sagittarius, some of you might move from the one coast to the other, or even out of country. So not saying that's taking place September 17th. It is going to be onwards over the next 3 years you might encounter this. It all depends, of course, or whether you're an early born Virgo, or if you're in the middle of your sign or the last of your sign. You kind of want to split that up in 3 portions. So you have those 3 years there, right? Now, we have Pluto in your 5th house. You're still working on your, should I say, creative self, inner self. It's in transformation. It's in the sign of Capricorn. So you might have felt this structure now lifting and rising and wanting to come out stronger if you have allowed other outer circumstances holding you back throughout the years. Well, no longer. It's like it's starting to push up and out. Now, you could also feel, perhaps this might also relate to your relationships, that relationships have become more intensified over these last few years. Pluto now is 13 degrees, so this goes for you who are born, say, up to the first half of your sign. They've gone through this Pluto transformation. You know exactly what I'm speaking about because you've already gone through it. For those of you born second half of your sign, well, you're coming up for it here over the next few years. Pluto moves slowly, so not all at once. We have the full moon this month here in your 8th house, Virgo. That has to do with the moon illuminating your shared resources with your partner. Is he or she being fair to you? Are the scales balancing up? Are you doing too much, or maybe are you doing too little? This is where it's going to be focused, and the full moon this month will be on the 27th of September, and it will be crossing the point of Uranus within that first 24-hour span. So Uranus has been working here in this area where I feel you've been trying to kind of liberate from always having to be the only responsible one in your partnership. It's been easy for your partners, or your ex-partners for that matter, to always rely on you. Why? Because you always pay such incredible attention to details that they know that you might just be better at it, balancing out those checkbooks and whatnot, better than what they are. And so it falls on you to take that duty. But see, you're liberating, and some of you more than others. Others are coming in a little bit later. Uranus right now 19 degrees, so it's nearly gone 2/3 through the sign. Have found that you don't have to always be the utterly responsible one. You can start giving in a little bit and having them step up, take more responsibility, and that sets you somewhat free. Let's look at the top of the month. We mentioned Venus and Mars, so romantic energy is definitely in your scope here as we start off the month. And you can take that energy with you and allow it to filter through the rest of the month, even though Venus will be moving away there from Mars. But it sets the month up in such a beautiful way for you. And on the 8th, Mars will be trining onto Uranus. That's between your 8th and your 12th house. So it's the psychic houses, it's the water houses. It might touch you a little bit emotionally. But when we have a trine, and especially with Uranus, which is always, you know, the wow factor, the unexpected wild card, but it's in a nice aspect. And Mars has to do with action, direction, goals, and so forth. So there might just be something like a key opening up a door for you that you've been maybe hoping and wishing for, especially here while Mars was working through your area of hopes and dreams a little earlier there in July into August. So now when this trine is coming in, you know, pop goes the weasel. Something may come from it. So note that. But then we have something very interesting here, Virgo. Mercury, your ruler, is going to square off on Pluto on the 9th. And Mercury rules communication, your thought processing. And when it's up against Pluto here in a square, it might just be that here's the opportunity. Don't necessarily look at it as a difficult challenge, even though squares and oppositions could be. But I was saying for you, since it's your ruler too, it's an opportunity that's going to present itself for you to speak your highest truth. If you have been holding back, and I do know many Virgos will do so because they don't like to create waves, but it's not good and it's not healthy to keep stuffing either. So you're giving yourself allowance, permission, or should I say the universe is giving you allowance or permission to speak your highest truth, to vent today. Or you might also come to notice maybe somebody else will vent their heart to you. So it might create that little bit uncomfortable energy initially. Mercury passes really quickly, but then see, we have Mercury going retrograde this month, which will be on the 17th of September, straight through to October 9th. So you will have a second chance to encounter this situation on the 9th. That will be on the 24th. Now retrograde. So that's bringing issues from the past forward. So this is going to help you even more. Maybe just the initiation of bringing to light a certain situation. But now comes the process, okay? Because between the 9th and the 24th, you and your partner or whoever you had this confrontation with has now had time to think and process. So when it comes back up again, it's more like, okay, so now how do we deal with it? How should we tackle it? And what's going to help you here on the 24th is that Mars is just coming into square to Saturn. And you might go, oh my God, we got a Mars Saturn going on. But even this, I see more so as an opportunity rather than just a hard challenge. Because Mars is your drive. It's where you're heading. It's what you want, right? So you want to connect to that. Saturn is coming up here in this square saying, well, you know, in order for me to move forward to my destination, my goal, this is what I need. Saturn wants to put down some new game rules. It wants to put down some new routes that can secure you, not just here today on the 25th of September, but to put down these new game rules so that you can move ahead with your Mars that much more, should I say, fluently in the future. So it is definitely time to take that Mercury, the challenge of it squaring to Pluto, to transform this specific situation. That's what Pluto is all about, is death and rebirth. Death of the old, but rebirthing the new. How do you want to transform this direction of Mars, right now, it's all about how you communicate it. If you're not taking this window of opportunity to express, well, how will your partner or your circumstances ever even know that you're holding an issue, right? We got to think about health too, because whatever doesn't come out, whether in words, Mercury or Mars action, where does it go? It can only go one way and one place, and that is where it reverts inwardly, and then it attacks us internally, and then we start getting messed up, right, physically and emotionally and whatnot. So, we have to bless our squares and look at them as great opportunities, and I hope you will. On the 17th, this beautiful Jupiter in your first house now is going to be opposing Neptune in your 7th house for relationships. So Jupiter is wanting to expand. It's like you're feeling like you have wings that are wanting to fly. And then Neptune here, your partner or your significant other or somebody you work with closely one-on-one, well, that Neptune may not be as open. It's like, well, why do you want to do it this way suddenly? And maybe it hasn't been suddenly. Maybe you have been thinking about this for a whole entire year while Jupiter was passing through your 12th house, while you were dreaming up all the concepts, all the things that you could envision yourself to do. So the only difference now is that it's coming out. You're telling your partner, this is what I want to do. So you're expanding your horizons. Might give your partner a little bit of insecurity. So if you're feeling a wall, a resistance, or some kind of energy that doesn't feel too good for you, just recognize it. It's not like your partner wants to chop your wings. But do recognize that change can be good for the one who installs it, that chooses it, but change isn't always as comfortable for the partner who hasn't chosen it, because what does it mean, change? Are you changing away from my direction? Are you changing away from us? Will I be losing more control of what we have? That kind of thing. So the Neptunian energy here with your partner might just feel a little foggy. So make sure, if you're going to announce any new horizons upon your border, should I say, that also make sure to secure your partner. Now we have on the 22nd, second day of surprise this month. First we had Mars coming into Uranus on the 8th. Now Venus is going to touch upon that very same degree of Uranus. So we get two beautiful, unexpected surprises here. Now this one could be romantic. The first one had to do with direction or activity, action. It was a Marsy thing. Now comes the Venetian situation or duplicate of it. On the 23rd, we have the Sun and Saturn. Now they're coming in with a sextile. The Sun being you in that first house, that's your personality. Saturn now having moved into your 4th house, there's a situation now that feels good, solid, like something taking on structure or roots within the family circle. That could be perhaps with your parents, or it could be you securing perhaps maybe even a new piece of real estate. Saturn is now really setting you up for this journey. It's the first aspect Saturn is receiving after it has moved into the sign of Sagittarius. So that's a great way to start it off. So the 24th, 25th, like I said, that is that whole situation with your communication, changing up, transforming that situation. 27th, we have the full moon. I did speak a little bit about it being in your house of resources, shared resources. That could also indicate perhaps news here if you're waiting, expecting some money that still perhaps haven't arrived. This would be a good day for it. It can have or pertain to investments or also benefits of any sort. So it could be commissions, could be royalties, but it's also the house of intimacy. Why? Because the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, so it's a full moon in the home of Scorpio energy, even though it's in the sign of Aries, 4 degrees actually, to be correct, of Aries. So if you have any other planets in your chart at 4 degrees, this full moon will ricochet off and also illuminate those areas as well. So it could be a nice evening to just have to set off romantically for a nice intimate sharing as well. We have a couple of events on the horizon here, Virgo, this month. Venus will turn direct here between the 6th or 7th, depending on which time zone you live in. We have Mercury turning retrograde here on the 17th, straight through that of October 9th. That will be and remain within the sign of Libra, so it's not retrograding back into Scorpio. It will stay within Libra, allowing you to find the proper balance. Think about the scales of what feels fair or unfair. That is what Mercury wants to communicate here under this retrograde. And it's not really a bad retrograde per se. The most difficult ones is when they affect our computers and we get viruses and everything goes haywire and delays. We can always still expect delays here with this one. This retrograde is showing up, however, in your 2nd house for money and income. So you might be looking over maybe your taxes or trying to shore up maybe your savings. It could be quite beneficial for you to look back at what you have obtained in the past as to how you want to balance it now. Again, the scales, right? How you want to balance it for the future in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. So that's one good way to utilize this energy. Saturn into Sag, we've mentioned that. That's on the 17th. We have Mars moving out of Leo into your sign here close to the end of the month on the 25th. So it will be leaving that 12th house and adding it to your 1st house. Is going to give you that much more zest and boom. You know, Mars is all about action and it's dynamite. So it will be joining up there with your Jupiter, the Sun, the new moon, which by then has already passed. But yes, you're going to have a very vigorous month coming into October. And if you haven't subscribed, by the way, do hit the subscribe button here, Virgo, so you can get your next month's reading here into your email. But yes, so Mars is going to be setting up a new 2-year cycle. All right, it takes 2 years around the chart. Coming into your 1st house will allow you to look at, okay, where am I at? What do I want? What do I appreciate? What am I all energetic and enthusiastic about? And what am I no longer enthusiastic about? So when we start off any planet in the 1st house, before it starts journeying through the chart, we're actually coloring the outcome of how it's going to affect the journey throughout the next 12 houses. So therefore, it's always important to pay attention to the 1st house. Like now you have the Sun, it's your birthday, you're setting yourself up for the whole solar cycle until your birthday of next year. Jupiter being there, as mentioned, is setting down the foundation of how you can expect the windfall to come back to you over the next 12 years. So we want to pay attention closely to those things. But listen, thank you for watching, and also watching the tarot readings, which gives a totally different type of insight to what you can come to expect here in the month of September. And but yes, as always, listen to your moon and rising sign, and I'll look forward to see you in October.